Hello, I'm Jonathan from Shooting Stuff. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about bullet construction. A lot of my information is based on information from Hornady's Catalog. It's available online and we're going to link in the description below to it. Before we delve into the details of the construction, let's just recap on the various parts of the bullet. As you know, the bullet is the projectile, not the entire cartridge. I have a selection of bullets laid out in front of me, and we use these in reloading to make cartridges for hunting and target shooting and just having fun. A bullet is made up of a number of different sections. The base at the back can have a couple of different shapes, from a flat base to a short bow tail and a very long bow tail for enhanced aerodynamic efficiency. The bearing surface is the flat section in the middle that engages with the rifling, sealing the bullet in the barrel and imparting the spin to the bullet from the rifling as it moves down the barrel at high speed. Ahead of the bearing surface is the ogive, or the head of the bullet, culminating in the tip. The length of the head is known as the head height, and there's generally two different types of ogive. A tangent ogive blends in perfectly parallel to the bearing surface, and a secant ogive is a little bit more streamlined and results in a slight discontinuity where it blends in. And many bullet manufacturers these days blend from a secant ogive to a tangent ogive and into the bearing surface for the smoothest possible bullet. The very front of the bullet, the tip, is known as the Meplat, and that is the diameter of the tip, which has a significant effect on aerodynamic efficiency and the in-flight performance of the bullet. Probably the most important part of the bullet in terms of affecting its in-flight performance. Hornady's Catalog has a variety of tips listed in the anatomy of a bullet, and I've got a couple of examples in front of me. Starting off with an aluminium tip, a soft material to aid expansion, but equally importantly, it's a very strong material and it will not deform or melt under aerodynamic heating when these bullets are fired at very high velocity over extended ranges. A less expensive version is Hornady's heat shield tip. A lot of the initial polymer tips melted at high velocity at extended ranges, typically beyond 400 or 500 meters, and that resulted in inconsistent aerodynamic performance, variable drag, and Hornady realized this issue and implemented the heat shield tip in their modern range of ELD bullets, both the ELD-X for hunting and the ELD-M for target shooting, and those are designed for high velocities out to extended ranges. Third on Hornady's list is their flex tip, and it's basically a soft polymer at the front of the bullet, and the biggest advantage of that is it allows an aerodynamically shaped bullet to be utilized in a tubular magazine. The lever guns of the cowboys, whether it's in 45 caliber or 30-30, have typically been limited to using a flat bullet, so the bullet would not strike the primer of the cartridge in front of it, igniting the tubular magazine. The flex tip from Hornady allows cartridges in lever action firearms to be much more aerodynamic. A normal polymer tip, such as the AccuBond from Nosler, is also utilized on some of Hornady's shorter range bullets like the V-MAX for enhanced expansion. and where you don't suffer the effects of aerodynamic heating out to the or beyond the 400 meters. Many of the conventional polymer tip bullets are also furnished with a flat base because they're not designed to go to extreme ranges. The Spire point is probably one of the earliest design of longer range hunting bullets, preceded only really by the round nose design. This hollow point, usually utilized for target shooting, the lead core's inserted from the front and the jacket is closed up, leaving a hollow point in the front. These bullets are typically not utilized for hunting, although some brands like Sierra's, certain of Sierra's Game King bullets have the hollow point and are still designed as hunting bullets. The flat point we've touched on briefly, typically utilized in lever action firearms or firearms with a tubular magazine so that it doesn't ignite the primer of the cartridge lying ahead of it. And in this case, it's also got a hollow point for enhanced safety in that design. The round nose bullet, this is a fairly small 30 caliber 110 grain, and they're available in all different lengths and shapes and calibers. The lead is inserted from the front of the bullet. These typically have a flat base, but they might have a short bow tail, and the exposed lead is shaped either round or in a spire form, depending on the performance of the bullet. The full metal jacket, very typical of military style bullets. Rules and regulations in the Geneva Convention limit the military to only firing full metal jacket. It's also one of the easiest bullets to make, and the lead core is inserted from the back, so there's an exposed piece of lead at the back of these bullets. Very effective, but for shooting targets, and they're not designed to expand on impact on a target, so not advised for hunting. Although I'm pretty sure there are many animals taken every year with military surplus bullets. The round nose design is also ideal here for target shooting in certain of the smaller calibers, and this shape is also quite typical of the construction utilized in dangerous game bullets. Short range, very strong construction, aimed for good penetration through thick bones and thick hides. Ending off, it's not part of Hornady's list, but a monolithic bullet turned out of brass or copper, can be any shape. This one has got a typical spire point. It doesn't have a hollow point. It's not a full metal jacket. It's a variation and a combination of many of these, but becoming fairly popular these days because of the variety that can be built into each of these bullets. Let's have a look at the internal construction, and Hornady has given us a great design in their catalog. The most popular bullet construction has a lead core with a copper or gilding metal, a copper alloy jacket around the lead core. The lead core is forced into the copper jacket in the manufacturing process and may attach to that jacket in various ways. It may just be held in place by the compression of the core in the manufacturing. It might have a mechanical bond, such as Hornady's InterLock ring, and many of the other manufacturers have similar effects. Applying a Cannelure creates an additional mechanical interference to effectively bond or lock the jacket into the internal lead core. A modern tendency is to apply a polymer tip to the bullet or leave an exposed bit of lead, is the older technology, to enhance the expansion of the lead core once it strikes the target, and you're wanting expansion to do damage and ensure a clean kill when you're hunting. I'm going to look at a variety of the different bullets and how they're made, based largely on the examples described in Hornady's catalog, and give a brief description of how the bullet is made, why it's done in that way, and what the advantages and disadvantages are going to be. For general purpose hunting, a lead core bullet with some form of mechanical interlocking. Hornady's is known as the InterLock, ensures that the lead core stays bonded to the jacket as much as possible. The purpose for that is to retain bullet weight and ensure deep penetration into the animal, so that even quartering shots going in not directly from the side but with a longer travel to get to the vitals, can actually get to the vitals, being the heart and lung area, and do the required damage to ensure a quick and clean kill. The interlock design normally has the lead core inserted into the jacket from the front. It's got a solid base, and near the base of the bullet there's a mechanical ridge that is created in the jacket, and the lead is squeezed around that, creating a mechanical lock. When a cannelure is applied to the bullet, it also indents into the lead core, creating an additional mechanical interaction, further strengthening the bullet. The main purpose of the cannelure is to control the seating depth of the bullet and make sure that an appropriate crimp can be applied to the neck of the case for reliable feeding in a variety of firearms. The exposed lead core initiates the expansion, and often the internal jacket has marks to aid and guide the expansion of the bullet when it hits the target. In an attempt to further ensure weight retention, Nosler partitioned their bullet, the well-known Nosler Partition, by creating a jacket where the lead core is inserted from both the back and the front, and then the bullet is finally formed. The lead core in the back of the bullet cannot exit out of the front, and the intention is that remains bonded onto the jacket, traveling through the animal and ensuring penetration, while the sharp edges of the expanded jacket can cause the necessary damage to ensure a quick and clean kill. The front part is similar to what we saw earlier, and the exposed lead tip is designed to enhance expansion. You'll notice even on this design, the jacket is variable thickness. It thins towards the front so that the front of the jacket can expand easier, and it gets thicker towards the base to restrict the expansion so that you have an excellent mushroom shape penetrating into the animal. Continuing with the hunting bullets, Hornady's ELD-X, extremely low drag expanding, is a modern construction, a very aerodynamic bullet, and we have an example on the table. The aerodynamic shape of this bullet is well suited for hunting animals at longer ranges. There's less bullet drop because of the aerodynamic efficiency, and it's clear from the gentle ogive and the long boat tail that the aerodynamic efficiency is going to be enhanced. The ELD-X also has the interlock built into it to ensure that the core stays intact with the jacket as far as possible. The heat shield tip also initiates expansion of the lead core, and you can see that the jacket of the ELD-X thins towards the tip so that initial expansion is quick, and then the jacket thickens up further down the bullet to reduce and restrict expansion so that the bullet stays intact and penetrates deeply into the animal, causing the necessary damage. Moving up in quality and expense, Hornady's CX bullet is a monolithic bullet out of a copper alloy, fairly similar to the locally or the South African made SUB-X bullets. Hornady's version also has a polymer tip to enhance initial expansion, and the advantage of the monolithic bullets compared to the lead core is it's a uniform, strong material designed for deep penetration into typically larger animals. Can you shoot a small antelope like a springbok with one of these? Absolutely. But you can equally do that with less expensive bullets if that is your preference. Each manufacturer applies their own principles, engineering principles in the design. So Hornady's CX bullets have cannelures or grooves around the bullet to serve various purposes, from being a position to crimp into and for material scraped off in the when the bullet engages the rifling to go into, and some of the other designs don't have that. I'm not enough of an expert on these bullets to say what is really necessary or not, but my experience, my very limited experience with the SUB-X bullets has been positive so far. Hornady's Dangerous Game Solid is one of 3 bullets that they offer intended for hunting dangerous game, elephant, buffalo, lion, and so on. This solid bullet has a steel jacket that is copper coated or copper plated around, or with a lead core on the inside. The lead core gives it the weight for good penetration, and the steel jacket on the solid version is open at the base. The lead core is inserted from the base, and a very strong steel jacket with copper coating ensures great penetration of these solid bullets deep into the largest of Africa's dangerous game. Mostly these bullets will have a cannelure to apply a crimp. In high recoiling rifles, you don't want the bullet to set back when the previous one is fired into the cartridge case, potentially causing a malfunction. So the crimp in the cannelure is an important part of loading these bullets. Sometimes you want the same thing to do expansion. If you're not after the largest of the large specimens, Hornady's DGX, Dangerous Game Expanding Bullet, the lead core is inserted from the front. We have a similar steel jacket, copper coated again, also with a cannelure, and this expanding bullet features the interlock system. The interlock is not on the solid, it's not required there, but on the expanding option it is. So the jacket thins towards the tip so that you get controlled expansion up to a point, and a nice thick jacket on the bottom 2/3 of the bullet ensures great weight retention and deep penetration into the animal. For those who want to be extra sure, there's also a technology to bond the lead core to the bullet, and Hornady's DGX Bonded, Dangerous Game Expanding Bonded Bullet, does away with the interlock, the mechanical interlock, other than what is achieved through the cannelure, and there's a chemical bonding of the lead core onto the similarly constructed jacket that also thins towards the tip for good initial expansion, and the thicker jacket retains excellent weight, penetrating deep into the animals. For smaller game, including vermin, but plains game in Africa, the likes of springbok, blesbok, and so on, Hornady's SST, Super Shock Tip, is designed for high velocity hunting, and the Polymer Tip is designed to impart a lot of energy when the bullet hits. Not looking for deep penetration here. Smaller game where your penetration is only required to be 4 to 6 inches. The SST is a fantastic bullet for that. Also featuring the interlock design, lead core inserted from the tip, a more gradual taper of the jacket towards the tip. It really goes about the tip on the SST in terms of that terminal performance. Hornady's V-MAX for varminting on shooting vermin is a lightly constructed, super accurate bullet. Here the lead core is not bonded or locked in any way to the jacket. It's a fairly thin jacket to get maximum and rapid expansion. The polymer tip aids that rapid expansion, and it's designed to dump all of its energy into the smaller antelope, smaller vermin, very, very quickly. The V-MAX is particularly popular with springbok colors, and you'll see that the V-MAX is not a long-range bullet because it does not have a bow tail. It's got a flat base. If hunting's not your game, target shooting should be. There's a couple of different options. One of the most popular for many, many years is the hollow point bow tail or match bullet. The construction has a uniform thickness of jacket. It's not tapered as the hunting bullets are. The lead core is loaded from the front, so we've got a nicely sealed base to the bullet, generally a fairly long bow tail for enhanced performance, and the lead stops some way from the tip. And that hollow point at the top is really to keep the center of gravity of the bullet further back, enhancing the dynamic stability of the bullet so that you maintain accuracy all the way out to long-range targets. For me, long range used to be 200 meters, but with the advent or the development of the longer range sport shooting and extremely long range shooting, people's perception of long range has gone generally well past a kilometer. The King of 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, is a popular event, and it shows just how far bullets like this and some of the others we'll be seeing are shooting successfully these days. Hornady's A-MAX is one of the popular designs. It's one of the earlier designs of a target bullet. It's the target shooting version of the V-MAX, I guess, and a moderate bow tail, a fairly general construction with a polymer tip. Good value all round. The ELD-MATCH, extremely low drag match bullet, uniform jacket with a lead core on the inside and the heat resistant tip that can resist aerodynamic heating out to very long ranges. Not designed to expand. I've seen comparisons done on some YouTube channels where the expansion of the ELD-MATCH is compared to the ELD-X, and while the ELD-MATCH will expand under certain conditions, it's not designed to reliably expand like the ELD-X bullet is. So I agree with Hornady. Don't use your ELD-MATCH bullets for hunting. They've got one designed for it. Use the ELD-X bullet for hunting. Hornady's premium match bullet is the A-Tip-MATCH, aluminium tipped match bullet. Probably similar, yet quite different to the SUB-X aluminium tipped Monolithic. The aluminium tip on Hornady's bullet is ultra heat resistant, so typically the bigger calibers firing at very high velocities to the extreme ranges like 2 miles and beyond, they're using the A-Tip-MATCH bullet. Constructed in a similar way to the other match bullets with a lead core inserted from the front, very gentle ogives, and the aluminium tip at the front for optimum consistency and superb accuracy. We're going to look at a couple of the more specialized offerings. The FTX-Rifle bullet uses the softer flex tip, designed largely for the tubular magazine rifles, 45-70 lever action, 30-30 lever action, and the soft flexible tip allows an aerodynamically streamlined bullet to be utilized in those calibers without the risk of a bullet igniting the primer of the bullet lying in the magazine ahead of that under recoil. These bullets are also constructed with the InterLock design, usually feature a Cannelure, and obviously because the intention is a more streamlined bullet, they go together with a bow tail as well. Often for hunting, the jacket thins towards the front and is more solid behind the interlock at the back. The flexible tip technology and engineering has allowed Hornady to combine the benefits or the knowledge learned with their expanding handgun bullets, typically at lower velocities, subsonic velocities, to create a line of SUB-X, subsonic expanding bullets for subsonic calibers such as the 300 Blackout. These bullets have a fairly thin jacket, the flexible tip to initiate expansion, and all designed for, on the heavier side, for subsonic use and to get good expansion. Probably ideal for hunting things like wild boar at night. In South Africa, bush pigs, warthogs, nighttime hunting with a subsonic is probably going to be a very successful combination. There are places in the world where lead is not welcome. California is a notable leader in that world. So many of the bullet manufacturers are turning to lead-free, non-toxic NTX bullets for hunting and for target shooting. And that covers the range from handguns to rifles. Hornady also has an offering where there's a non-toxic lead-free core in a typical copper jacket. And I've no doubt as the world moves away from lead, the variety of non-toxic bullets is only going to grow from all of the manufacturers around the world. Hornady has taken the CX line of bullets one step further, the Monolithics, and offering that in the tubular fed or the tubular magazine calibers, 45-70, 30-30, and a very strong aerodynamically shaped monolithic bullet with a flexible tip, safe to use in those tubular magazines. The flexible tip also enhances the expansion and good deep penetration with a wider variety of calibers is available these days. So I hope you've enjoyed the overview of different bullet construction, different purposes for those bullets. I found it quite insightful to learn all of these things, and the array that we have in front just shows or illustrates the huge amount of engineering and development that has gone into bullets over the last probably 20 years. But if you imagine going all the way back to the round lead balls from the old flintlock rifles, it's not that long ago when it was only really possible to hunt out to maybe 100 yards or 50 yards. Many battles were waged at shorter distances. And now with modern technology, rifles, optics, and bullets, we can reach out and touch the target at a mile or two. I hope that you've learned something today that will help you select the right bullet for your purposes. Shooting Stuff has a variety of bullets available at our store in Centurion or online at shootingstuff.co.za. Shooting Stuff is here, giving you more time to shoot.